Do bass players just stumble upon these techniques, happenstance, out of necessity to get a sound they need or to solve a problem in their playing? I love little things like this. That really shows how unique all us bass players can be. And that's the true artistry stuff I always talk about. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lone University. Today, we're finally checking out Mr. Steve DiGiorgio playing some Death. We're watching a playthrough of Overactive Imagination, which is the opening track from their 1993 landmark album, Individual Thought Patterns. Now, guys, I've never listened to Death before, believe it or not. I got into Cynic a long time ago and was aware of Paul Masvidal's contribution to that band, but I've never really listened to it, so I'm excited to really dive in. Let's check it out. Steve DiGiorgio playing Overactive Imagination. More fretless craziness. Darkglass, B7K. Ooh, those fast double stops. Woo! I want to go back and catch some of this opening stuff. Man, this is crazy fast, right in the pocket, using a lot of three-finger technique, which I'm a huge fan of. He really turns his hands and makes sure those fingers are even, which is crucial for getting those even strokes when you do fast passages that way. And it sounds like it's a very unison line right with the guitar parts. And again, this is some uber good fretless playing. You know, the influence the fretless thing has on the death metal scene has really allowed the bass to shine in a genre where otherwise the bass is really kind of crowded out a lot. So I love the contrast tonally when fretless is used in this genre. And I love that he's doing those kind of strokes, those fast down kind of flamenco style strokes. He'll be doing a passage and just throw the fingers down, they're right in place. And he's got that down pat. So go back and catch some of that craziness. These are those tracks that fly by, so I'm going to really try to see everything I can. Obviously, the tone is amazing. Look how fast that little double stop kind of power chord thing right here. He looks like he's actually raking that backwards. I can't even see what he's doing there. That's really fast. That's it. Woo. That's the slowest he's gotten so far. I love that those strum notes are really hitting on the crucial accent points in the riffs. I mean, these riffs are going by so fast. Kind of sounds like we're kind of in G, going from D to G. And I love the way he's grabbing both ways those chords. Sometimes he'll strum down and do but other times he'll just pluck, like one big pluck stroke to get two notes and slide those double stops. And he's doing it in very carefully chosen places that align with the guitar part. And then he's kind of venturing out on these little runs. And something I notice he does as well that, to me, Alex Webster does. And there's a video on Alex Webster and Conquering Dystopia coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But it's like when they play faster, they go higher, they kind of turn their hand this way. I find it really interesting. You know, is that like an upright bass kind of technique coming through? Do these guys have experience with that? I'm not really sure, but I see that a lot, and it always makes me wonder. There's just that slight turning as he gets higher. I don't know if he's digging in more to really get those notes to pop, but something I'm noticing. Now it sounds like he's doing some counterpoint. It's like he's veered away from the main riff a little bit. Something interesting I'm seeing as well. Look at his thumb here. He's got it like jammed behind the strings. I've never seen that before. And I assume this might have to do with, obviously he's using kind of the floating thumb technique when he goes higher. But muting the strings, that's actually pretty interesting. You know, I would be afraid my thumb would get stuck trying to pull it out, or it would go when I try to do it. But if he knows he's staying on those higher strings, that's a really great way to mute multiple strings at once. Normally, you would place your finger on the most bottom unused string. So if you're using like the D and G strings, you would put your thumb on the A and then rock it back. And that would mute these three strings here. Very important when you're playing stuff like this. It's going up and down the strings. It's doing a wide range of notes. This really helps keep the lines clean and those extraneous noises and notes muted. But I've just never seen that before. I find it really interesting. I want to go back and see when this riff starts, because it sounds like he's kind of steering away and doing his own individual melody, if you can call it that, just riff behind the guitar part. I've just never seen the thumb. That's such a weird thing to me. Really clean gallops. I mean, he's got those little gallops down perfectly, and this is perfect stuff to be using the 3-finger technique before. Guys, if you only use 2 fingers, consider adding that third one in. It makes life a lot easier if you're playing technical music, if you're playing anything fast, and most scale patterns are in groups of 3s anyway, right? It's really good to have that third finger there when you need it. Little key change there, kind of in B flat. Up a half step. Now it's just good old 2-finger technique. Woo! That was a really interesting passage there. He did some like 4th slides. Sounds a lot better on the fretless, am I right? And then he does some tritone kind of things here. One thing I want to comment on as well, you know, I did Dominic LaPointe a while back, his band First Fragment. And that style of fretless playing is like really trying to make it sound fretless, if that makes sense. Kind of the way he plays, like everything is like, I'm playing this like a fretless. What I like about this is that if I weren't watching the playthrough, it would have probably taken me a lot longer to realize it's fretless. When he goes low and plays those chunky riffs, it doesn't sound like a fretless to me. Of course, he's got the Darkglass stuff. It's giving it that gritty sound. It kind of hides that more natural fretless character. But then he brings out kind of those fretless tropes as he goes higher and kind of does those slides. You can kind of really hear it for the first time, aside a couple notes he played earlier, but that little... And it's really cool that he can kind of bring out the fretless timbre when he wants, but then still have that kind of traditional fretted bass, chunky stuff. I kind of like the duality of that, and he's not making it all about fretless. He's just using a fretless and kind of inserting the fretless character kind of when he wants. That's what I notice. Free feel. See, all that, you know, if I close my eyes and I haven't watched this video, you know, it could pass as a fretted bass. Until that. It's just great. This style of music, it's a lot to remember. It's very technical. I assume there's normally vocals over this. I don't know if this was an instrumental or not. Again, I have no context, but just great, typical, masterful playing in a genre like this where it's already difficult to stray away from the main riff. And to do that, you have to be really aware of everything the guitar parts are doing. Find how you can add a little extra double stop. Find how you can go up a little scale when they have a rest. And, it's a very heady type of playing and writing that's really challenging to do. Writing parts in Scale the Summit, some of the songs were kind of like that. They weren't like death metal, but they had very technical riffs. And the challenge was like, how can I let the listener know I'm here? That's kind of the question I always answered. And some riffs, you just had to follow the guitar part. Sometimes you just have to do that. And that's totally okay. That's what bass playing is about. It's a support instrument. But every now and then, I like that bit of challenge with the creativity. I'm like, how can I not detract from the impact of the riff, but still have something that stands out in the bass department? And I assume a lot of thinking like that went into this song and this type of playing for all bass players who do this. Go back a bit. I like those little pluck, hammer on, slide, pluck, slide kind of dissension he does. So if I were to just do some hypothetical notes. On a fretted bass, that sounds the way it does, but you can kind of hear that fretless cutting through a little bit. It just adds a certain tonality to the riff that I always find interesting. That smooth contrast of the fretless is just like peanut butter and jelly with like real tight rhythm guitars in this genre. It's something I'm always fascinated with. That little part, down, down, down. Back to that strum down. That's actually a lot harder than I think it looks. Being able to pluck down here on a low string sounds like it might be in D. But to be plucking that string that fast with that much precision, pull your hand up and then rake over the string you were already plucking without hitting it, like this. That's actually pretty tough. He's doing it so fast and never hitting any extraneous notes because those chords are clean, or double stops. Bow, that. And you know what? I wonder if, and now I'm seeing him sliding his thumb. What if he were going... See, when I put my thumb behind the strings like that, I'm able to do that chord no problem. I can just strum with a real broad stroke and never hit any extraneous notes. It's kind of a light bulb moment for me. That might be how he's doing it. All in all, really interesting. I've just never seen these type of techniques done. Truly an incredible player. I'm of course aware of Steve and Testament and stuff, but I've never was exposed to any of his music from this era. Hell of a player. Crazy stuff. Love it. Well, Steve is such a unique player. I've never really watched him up close and personal quite like this. Thanks for recommending this video. Somebody linked this a long time ago in another video. I responded that I wasn't sure where to start with Steve because I know he's in a lot of different projects, including the newest Megadeth record, which is really, really cool to me. Fantastic playing. I really saw some unique things I've never seen anybody do. And again, it's like I talk about in some videos, like, do bass players just stumble upon these techniques happenstance out of necessity to get a sound they need or to solve a problem in their playing or to mute a string they don't know how to mute. I love little things like this that really shows how unique all us bass players can be. And that's the true artistry stuff I always talk about. You know, technique is important to learn to prevent bad habits or to prevent injury, most importantly. But really, at the end of the day, everyone has a different way of doing it and executing their craft. And that is clear in a lot of bass players I've looked at lately. Everyone from Steve to Fieldy to Ryan Martini. Super interesting stuff. I'm loving checking out these players I have not really looked into much. And thank you guys, and please keep them coming. Before you leave, make sure you subscribed, hit the like button, and throw me some comments on what else I should be doing. I appreciate you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. We will see you next week. Cheers.